They call him the fastest Indian in the world, but to be honest, he's much more than that. He is in fact the country's only internationally recognized fast driver. But today's your chance to find out what the man behind the label is all about as I introduce you to Narayan Karthikeyan. Welcome to the program, Narayan.
Thank you, thanks sir.
Tell me, what is it like to be sitting behind the wheels of a car that's traveling at perhaps as much as 320 kilometers an hour?
Yeah, it's you know, the straight line speed is impressive because you're traveling 300 plus kilometers an hour, but what is more impressive is that when you're cornering at over 280 kilometers an hour, there's a corner called the 130R in Suzuka in Japan, and the car produces nearly 4.5 positive Gs. That means 4 times your own weight, you know, acting on you. So
it's like sitting in a car and 4 times your weight pushing you back?
Pushing you, you know, you're harnessed, you're strapped in, so it just sucks you back and, you know, you get thrown around, but and then it's physically, you know, very, very demanding, and the steering becomes very, very heavy into the corners. And sometimes you can have a blackout because so much of force is acting on your body, and that is the most impressive. It's mind-blowing to when you see the cars can corner at that you know, high speed. So
fast car driving is as much a question of skill as actual physical fitness.
Oh, physical fitness plays a big role in a, you know, in a racing driver's career. When you get to the top of the motorsport ladder, and because you know, when you're fit, you know, you can concentrate a lot better. These cars are not easy to drive. When they produce such high G-forces, and when you have such a heavy steering wheel, you have to work out a lot. For me, I am not the fittest guy around, but even me, I can jog 10 kilometers a day and do a lot of weight, upper body, you know, strengthening exercise.
You know, this is going to sound like a stupid question, but could an ordinary individual try and drive a Formula 3 or a Formula Nippon?
Well, they could drive, but you know, there'd be...
They get blown out of the seat.
Well, they'll be very, very slow, let me put it that way. It's not easy cars to handle, and probably they get very, very scared when the acceleration is phenomenal, and it'll...
But you go from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds?
Yeah, less than that, yes. So it is very, very difficult to drive these cars, and that's why you go through a lot of junior single-seater Formula before you get to Formula 1.
So does speed lose all meaning when you go from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds? Do you even know what being fast is?
Yeah, you just, you know, it's like, you know, when an aeroplane takes off, maybe twice as fast as that. You just get thrown back in your seat, and it's phenomenal, you know.
But is that the thrilling moment for you?
Yes, yes, for sure. You know, the speed and... it's a very, very, motor racing as a whole, as a package, is very thrilling and glamorous and so on, but the speed, I think, is high up there, you know.
Now, you know, your father was a national rally champion. Was it inevitable that you were going to be a fast car driver?
Yeah, I would have taken to some form of motorsport for sure. I knew it from a very, very early age, and, you know, the interest grew. And when I was maybe, you know, 14 years old, 13 or 14 years old, I knew I was going into single-seater racing, and...
Your mother says she knew long before you were 13, 14. She says that when you were at school, all your notebooks were full of nothing but car drawings.
Yes, it was, and you know, the teachers didn't like that because instead of taking down notes, I was drawing, and I think I was an average student until maybe 7th grade, and then my motor racing was suddenly there, and for me...
In fact, your mum also says that in those early days, she had to go and borrow notes from your friends to see you through school and classes.
Yes, yeah, a lot of notes. Yeah, I think it was quite embarrassing, you know, when you go say your son doesn't have notes and he's in the same class, and yeah, but yeah, it was okay. And
I gather when you were young, it wasn't just cars that interested you. You were also completely fascinated by animals. There was a circus near your home, wasn't there?
Yes, yes. Yes, so my mother told you about that too. Yeah, as a kid I was fascinated by animals, and yeah, of course, circus, every kid likes to go to a circus, and one day I went there, and I went there so many times, the guy actually knew who I was, kind of thing, and then there was a water shortage problem, and and I said okay, and lots of water in my house, why don't you come? So they brought all the animals and
The whole lot?
the whole lot, yes.
The elephants, the tigers, the giraffes, the works?
I don't think the tigers, but the rest of them, yes. And I was riding on a camel. I still remember that very well, and those are memories which are, you know.
What did your mum say when she saw the entire circus turning up for a bath?
She was shocked, and she was wondering what was happening, and then I think people explained it to her. I can't remember more than that, but it was, when I look back, it's fantastic.
Cars, I believe, began to become a big part of your life during a holiday you spent in the United States at the age of 9, 10 with your parents. What exactly happened in America?
What happened was we went to Florida, and then there was this go-kart race there, and I was, okay, they said, my mother actually gave me permission, and they said, okay, drive, you can drive. And I would go there, and they say, you know, you're too small, you know, you're not tall enough, and I made up such a big racket, and then it, you know, but it didn't happen. So instead, my mother bought me a 50cc bike, a fuel-powered bike, and then they thought it was kind of slow, but I really got it and when it came to India, they were surprised. It was very, very fast. And
so your mother didn't realize what she'd actually gifted you?
No, she didn't. She did. Honestly, she didn't realize what she gifted, and they were quite quick. And I had lots of falls in them. I bruised myself, but never big ones. Maybe I wasn't pushing hard enough. I don't know.
I'm told that within just a little while of your return, you started building your own go-kart. Was that difficult?
No, it was because and wasn't really, because my father has a workshop, a garage, and because he is a big enthusiast, and also my relatives were involved in racing, so they all helped me. But yeah, it was good. We built our own go-karts, and you know, my cousins and I, you know, raced in it, and yeah, it was.
You did a lot of racing. I believe you used to wet the drive before you went zipping around. What did wetting the drive actually do?
Well, basically, we were. My driveway is quite big in the house, so when I had the opportunity to drive my father's little Maruti 800, I used to try all the stunts, and the wet surface meant that it wouldn't make the squealing noise, you know, from the tires. So, you know, for them, you know, not to know I was driving, I used to do that.
So that was how you kept it all a secret?
Yes, a little bit, but then they knew it. And,
so what did they think you were doing, playing football in the back garden?
Maybe hide and seek. Yeah.
You had a dog in those days called Bruno. I'm told that every time your parents made you work and you didn't want to study, he was the solution to your problems.
Yeah, it was, yeah, what can I say? It was a silly dog, really, because when it wanted attention, it used to come there, and when we were studying, I think maybe 3-4 times it grabbed my books and ran away. And I said, I didn't mind it really, and my mother was like, hey, stop, kind of thing, you know, and it was fun.
Did she suspect that you taught the dog a trick or something?
I bet she did, and she still does, for sure.
Now, I'm told that the dream to be a Formula One driver, and that really is your big dream, actually happened when you saw a video, is that right?
Yes, for sure. Maybe, I think it was 1989, 1990, one of the years. My cousin went to Germany and he got a video, and then there was a lot of in-car footage. The first time people had seen the kind of footage. And I thought, this is really good, exciting stuff, and as I was already interested in motorsport, I thought, okay, I'll try my hand at single-seater racing, and I never did think I would. I knew I wanted to get to Formula One, but I knew it was going to be really difficult.
What was it that captured your imagination? The glamour, the speed, the imagination of being someone on the screen racing around like that?
I think it's more the speed and the imagination, of course the glamour, and when you make it to Formula One, you earn millions of dollars. So
that helped as well.
Of course, yes. So I thought, okay, this is good, and you know, if you make it, you like something, and you can make a good profession out of it. But the people thought I was crazy. You know.
Your dad took it very seriously. Others may have thought you were crazy, but he took you very seriously. He sent you in '93 to the Elf Winfield Racing School in France?
Yeah, that's right. I was going to start racing, and my dad thought, okay, you need to know all the right basics of racing, driving a racing car. So he sent me to the school, very very good school. Graduates include four-time world champion Alan Prost, Jean Lacy, and etc. So I went to the school, and probably my family thought, okay, when they see the competition from Europe, he would give up. And
So they were hoping you'd go to school
yeah.
and lose your desire to race.
Yes, not decided to, not in an international. They didn't want me to take this as a profession kind of thing, and they thought, okay, he'll just do some local races in India and then be happy. But then, to everybody's surprise, I surprised myself. I was quick, very very fast, and they those instructors that they said for the I was 15, 16, 15 years old maybe, and they said, okay, you're quite fast, and then. And I came back and...
Well, in fact, you weren't just quite fast. You were in the finals of the Pilote Elf Formula Renault Championship, weren't you?
Yes, yes. It was. I was a finalist, and basically, I think I was too young to go forward because I was in France. You had to be 17 to race.
And you were only 15.
Yes, so I couldn't do it, and but then I knew. Okay,
but the school was enough for the bug to bite.
Yes, what I learned in the school was I was competitive, and I knew it's going to be very, very difficult when you progress. But I knew I could do it. Just I had needed the determination, and I said, okay, I'll give it 100%.
So far from putting you off, your father ensured that you had the best foundation for a great career in racing.
Yeah, it's a blessing in disguise, I think. I went there, and I said, okay, just take one step at a time, and it was quick.
Do you think, looking back, he did it on purpose? Maybe this was his secret desire, even though he wasn't saying it to you?
No, I think they thought, okay, this boy, likes it so much. We should give him the opportunity, and I really thank them for that. And they sent me there, and then they thought, okay, he'll get scared of the competition, and because he won't be competitive. But that wasn't the case, and it all worked out in the end.
Now, let's take a break. I want to come back in part 2 and talk about the incredible career that was just about to begin and some of the amazing races that you've taken part in. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is the racing car driver Narayan Karthikeyan. Narayan, let's talk about your racing. Is it a bit of a paradox that you started racing when you were just 16, and yet at that age it would have been illegal for you to drive on a road?
Yeah, yes, the competition rules state that you can drive when you're 16 years old if you have a consent from your parents. And I did, so I started racing before I drove a road car, started driving on the road.
In fact, your first race was for something called Formula Maruti. You were the fastest, but it ended badly, didn't it?
Yes, I was, there was the cream of the Indian drivers. My first race, I was leading the race. And I was surprised, and maybe because I was inexperienced, I made a mistake and I spun off. And I was cursing myself for that. It could have been...
But when you say you spun off, did you actually just spin around like that in circles?
No, I had I can't remember, I had this problem with the car. And maybe if I was experienced, I would have, gone through and won the race. But I'm not sure what happened. But
inexperience, or do you think it was perhaps even too much enthusiasm?
Maybe a little bit too eager, pushing too hard. But there was a problem with the car for sure, and I can still remember.
But whatever the problem was, you put it right very quickly, because the very next year you won the Ford Winter Series in Europe and became the first Indian to win in Europe. Was that a very thrilling moment?
Yes, it was, because Formula Fords are the, that's when you, that's the basic form of motorsport. That's when you, you have all the youngsters from the world, like 17, 16, 17 years old, competing. And I drove this 5-race Winter Series championship. And I won 3 races and won the championship, and then I became, first really the Asian to win a championship in Europe. Even the Japanese didn't win it that time.
And in fact, 2 years later, you became the first Asian to win Formula Asia. Did you surprise yourself with that?
Yes and no, because I knew that by then I knew that I was very competitive and very confident, because I had all the.
So you were almost expecting to win?
Yes, I was expected to win, to be honest, and because I had also the experience from Europe, and then I came to Asia because there was a good sponsor that year, and they had a free drive. And
all the articles say that he had an absolutely great series of results at the Formula Asia: 7 pole positions, 7 wins, 7 fastest laps. For the layman, what does all of that mean?
Just blowing the competition away.
I mean, literally, you left them all far, far behind.
Yes, those days there was a lot of money in Asia, in South Asia, so the economy was strong. So the Asian teams hired lots of European drivers. So it was very competitive series, and yes, and to win that, I got a lot of recognition back in Europe.
And in fact, you also have two great wins in England, don't you? Donington Park in '97 and Brands Hatch in '99. Both of them are absolutely dream venues to win it. But which meant more to you?
The Brands Hatch one because
Because of the name?
Brands Hatch, yeah, it has its own name, and Formula 3. To win in Formula 3 is a big thing. The British Formula 3 Championship is very, very strong. Ayrton Senna, Mika Häkkinen, David Coulthard,
All the big ones
all
have
the
been
big ones graduated from there, and they won races there. So to emulate them was very good.
Feels
and
good to be walking in their footsteps.
yes, very good. Feels very, very good, and felt very good. And I was really happy for India because it was established as a, in the motorsport industry that we can produce good drivers too.
Now, last year was a year of sort of mixed fortunes. There was November in Macau when you were leading very comfortably after 5 laps. You almost had a clear 5-second
Yeah.
lead. And suddenly in the 6th you crashed. What happened?
I think that's the biggest mistake of my career, really, because it was Macau Grand Prix, and it's the only other event which has a Grand Prix status than a Formula 1 event. So it's all the Formula 1 team bosses are watching, do watch it.
So was it nerves?
No, I think I just a little bit pushed too hard, and you're racing in the streets of Macau, and you don't have any room for error. If it was on a normal road circuit, I would have got away with it. It was a simple mistake. There was a big bump, and you have to heel and toe to shift down gear. So from 5th to 2nd gear, I think I hit the bump and the brake pedal at the same time. So it just slipped off a little bit, and instead of braking, I accelerated.
Bit of bad luck.
Yeah, I think so.
But just literally a few days later, you bounced back and you won the Korean Super Prix. How nervous were you after the Macau debacle?
Very nervous. The team was on the radio every lap. Every lap they were saying, take it easy, and you have a big lead, and don't do a Macau.
Don't overheat.
Yes. And it was good because there were 30 cars from 15 different nationalities of drivers, and
so the competition was pretty stiff.
oh yeah, Formula 3 is always stiff, and I think the top 20 cars in qualifying were covered less than 7/10 of a second. So every hundredth of a second counted, and I had pole position and fastest lap in there. So,
But when you won it, was that a happy moment?
of course, yeah, that's the biggest win of my career, I think, and I was very pleased.
It was a bit like proving something to yourself.
Yes, proving something to myself.
What did your parents say?
Well, they just said, okay, it would have been a double, Macau and Korea, but
They were a bit disappointed,
yeah,
huh?
for sure, because I had fastest lap. I have the 47-year-old lap record. For 47 years, I have established a new lap record in Macau, and I was dominant, so dominant, even more dominant than Korea. And it is the race where Michael Schumacher in 1991, Ayrton Senna won in 82, and it would have been really
Now, you've
nice.
been trained by some of the great racing drivers, haven't you? But
Yes.
they've taught you more than just racing cars. Like I thought they've also taught you how to tie your tie.
Yes, that's right. Jackie Stewart, I raced for him last year, and because it's a very high-profile team, we had lots of sponsors, launches, so we had to go dressed very neatly and very formally. And yeah, one day I was struggling with my tie, and he called me, "Come here, boy," in his Scottish accent, and then he decided to help me with the tie, and it was good.
The next big challenge is Formula One. When do you think you're going to make the transition?
That's the final step, and well, if all goes well this year, I have a very, very good opportunity because I'm in the right hands. David Robertson, who manages me, he also manages the young Jenson Button and Kimi Räikkönen, both who are top F1 rookies, and they're the current thing in Formula 1. So I just need a couple of good results in Formula Nippon, and it should pave my way there.
But they say that at the most 20, maybe 25 drivers make it to Formula One. Does that worry you? That there's such a tight competition to get there?
No, not yes. How can I say? You have you have to make it by 27, I should think, because the new driver Juan Pablo Montoya, the Colombian, is 26, and he made a big impression when he came in Formula 1.
So you've got what, a year or two ahead? You've got
Yeah.
to do it in the next year.
Yeah,
or
next
so.
2 years.
How much of this is a question of self-belief? How important is your own self-confidence?
Wow, it plays a major role in a racing driver's career. I think, especially at least for me as an individual. You psych yourself up, but you have to be really confident. But there is a thin, fine line between being overconfident, and confident.
Is it tough to walk that fine line?
Yes, it's very tough. Sometimes you push a little bit hard, and then you pay for it.
That's when you make a silly mistake.
Yes.
The image the world has of fast car drivers is they play with their life. They literally take their life in their hands. Are you ever scared of death?
No, I'm not, to be honest. But you have to respect the sport, because if you don't, it can hurt you quite badly. Deaths have become very small these days because the technology is so superior. It's very, very rare, but yeah, it can catch you out if you're not, if you take it for granted and do some silly things on the circuit, like excessive weaving, blocking, and with the other competitors. And because the open wheel racing cars, when two wheels touch, they can do cartwheel, and that's not good.
Are you religious?
Yes, definitely. I believe in. I'm pretty religious. I should.
Superstitious?
Say. No, not really. No.
There are no special things you do just before the race starts?
Yeah, for qualifying, I always get into my car from the left. That's it.
Gives you a sense of confidence.
Yeah, yeah. Because one day I don't know. Yeah, one day I had pole position in the Formula 3 race, and they said, my mechanic said, you got into the car from the left. So ever since, I've always.
It's become a habit.
Yeah.
They say the most important thing about fast car driving is the temperament. Is that really the test?
Oh yes, you have to have a cool head on your shoulders, because you can throw a race. You're traveling at over 300 kilometers an hour, and it's quite easy to make mistakes. If you have to be aggressive, but then you can't be over aggressive, and it's not good.
Is it easy to have a cool head when you're driving at such hot speeds?
Yes and no. If you're on your own, yes. But if you're battling with somebody else, and if they're dirty in front of you, blocking tactics, then you get a little bit temperamental.
So what do you do then? Do you sort of double check yourself?
Well, you just keep saying, but it's so intense, the battle. You're just trying to calculate how to get the guy in front of you.
So you keep talking to yourself, be careful, don't be silly.
You think to yourself, yeah, a little bit maybe, but you always, you can't get frustrated, because then you can throw away the race.
Narayan, good luck. I look forward to your being India's first Formula 1 champion. Thank you for a wonderful interview.
Thank you so much.